let's discuss how energy is transferred, more precisely thermal energy. So as you might remember, heat is made out of thermal energy, and as the thermal energy increases, molecules tend to move around more, so the particles here move around as the thermal energy increases. So the first way that the thermal energy can be transferred is through conduction. Conduction happens inside solids. So if I put my sword here close to the fire, the particles that are close to the fire will slowly start to move around as the thermal energy increases. And as they move around, they bump their friends, and their friend starts to move around, and so on until the particle moves around everywhere. So thermal energy is moving this way. So if I'm looking at my sword, it means that the thermal energy will slowly increase and move towards the other end of the sword until it burns my hand, at which point I will be in pain. Ouch. The other way that thermal energy can be transferred is through convection. While the other was conduction was energy being transferred through a solid, convection is energy being transferred through a fluid. So there's actually two kinds of fluids. The first one, I'm sure you know, is a liquid that is considered fluid, but a gas is also considered a fluid because the particles can move around more freely. So as particles get close to a heat source, they expand and they start to rise. And as they rise, they get further away from the heat source and they get cooled down. So the less heat means that they start to contract and they go down. And as they get down, they get closer to the fire and they start going back up. This creates what we call a convection current. So the warm particles go up and the less warm particles go down. The final way that thermal energy can be transferred is through radiation. So the past two ways to transfer energy was through particles, but for radiation there are no particles involved. It's actually waves that can go through windows, so they are not blocked by solids, that can go through windows and heat up like this. We call those waves infrared radiation. And a lot of the infrared radiation comes from the sun and heats up our cats inside our homes. Now, to recap, conduction is the energy moving through a solid by particles bumping each other. Convection is the energy moving through a fluid by particles rising as it gets hotter and going down when it gets less warm. And radiation is the energy moving through waves of infrared radiation.